we are meant to be outside more than we are. This is the thing. It doesn't have to be active. So I talk to people and they're like, oh, I don't want to go for a run. I'm like, why would you have to go for a run to be in nature? Just go sit somewhere, sit under a tree.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and this is Well, Hello Anxiety. In a world that often moves too fast, we're here to pause, breathe, and understand anxiety together. Each episode will explore practical strategies, share honest conversations, and uncover the science behind anxiety and well-being, all while creating a space where it's okay to not be okay. Let's continue this journey together. So much of what we talk about on the podcast here is what's happening on the inside, our thoughts, our nervous system, our stress response, our worry, overwhelm, and our responses to the world around us. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about how the spaces around us shape how we feel. And there's so much to uncover, and I'm excited to introduce you to our guest. Her name is Debbie Laporte. She is a registered landscape architect with more than 20 years of experience across Australia and Europe. She's the founder of Otara. What she does, it's so cool. She designs outdoor spaces like school playgrounds, school grounds, nature play areas, and community environments, but with people's well-being at the centre. She focuses on creating environments that foster connection, belonging, and joy. And we know all of these things, oh my gosh, we can't get enough of it to really look after ourselves and our mental health and well-being. But she's also really passionate, of course, about taking care of the environment, which I just love. So what I'm hoping is that by the end of our conversation today, that we'll all be looking at the spaces around us in a whole new way. And we will probably be inspired to look for new spaces to spend time in, but also to make a few changes to the spaces around us as well. So, Debbie, a huge and very warm welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, it's so good. And look, we've chatted before, and we know that we are we know stress and anxiety are a really big part of life for people, and especially for a lot of our listeners. What are we missing? Because I've never talked about this, a topic like this on the podcast before. And I really like to come at the conversation around anxiety, mental health and wellbeing from lots of different angles. And I wanted to start by asking you what it is that we're missing if we're not thinking about the spaces. Because we know we feel good in certain spaces and better in some than others, but we might not be really cognizant of why we feel better and what it is about the spaces. So what are we missing when we're just not taking this into consideration?
Outdoor space it's such a large part of our environment and where we live. But I think the problem with it is people don't always realize, one, how much of it they get, or the opposite of that is they're not getting enough.
Yeah.
So historically, humans have grown up and the majority of our time has been spent outside.
Yeah.
And it's only in the past maybe 50, maybe 100 years now, where that has actually swapped sort of for us as cultures, and we're spending much, much more of that time inside. And then, probably in the last sort of 30 to 40 years with computers and how work's changed, we're spending, that's even reinforcing it even more.
Yeah. So
we've gone from being predominantly outside and connected to nature, and that doesn't have to be, off in the bush, hiking around. I mean, that's great, not going to lie. Yeah. But even just outside, walking streets and going about our business, to predominantly being inside inside buildings or inside your house. So, there's a guy called Richard Louv who actually coined the term nature deficit disorder. And it's actually a theory, and there's been a lot of research on this, about the impact of not being outside enough and not being connected to nature enough. Yeah. Because as soon as we start becoming inside, we lose our connection to nature. When we're not surrounded by it, we're not in it. And there's a whole heap of things that can happen because of that. So our outdoor spaces, and I don't know if people felt this particularly during COVID, a lot of people recognized just during COVID, our outdoor spaces are a lot more important than people often think they are.
Mm.
Um, Streets became a lot more important because that's where you can go to your front door and that's kind of about it. So you can go on your street, but that street became really important.
Yeah.
And sort of going back to your discussion, like the kind of point at the beginning about how you feel in spaces, depending on what that street's like, will determine on how you feel in that space. And I always love to talk about space and how it makes you feel in character, particularly when we're talking about outside, because everywhere you go has a feeling and causes within you some type of reaction. Easiest way to describe this is if you're at a rubbish dump, like it's not the nicest place to be, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel very nice. It smells. It's normally kind of loud and it's really messy and it's not like it doesn't like you don't want to be like, oh, I'll just rest here for the day. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like it's not a nice place around. And I use that particularly, I'm going for the extremes here.
Yes.
But then there are other places that you'll go, and it might be a park, it might be a garden, it might be sort of somewhere where it's you walk into that space and it's like, this is really nice. I want to sit down. I want to spend time here. I want to hang out here. And that juxtaposition that happens all over the world. So depending on how we design spaces, what's in those spaces, how many other people are in those spaces, it will depend on how we then connect to them and how we feel in them.
Deb, thank you so much for helping us to kind of like for painting a picture about outdoor spaces and how they're so important. And what you said about COVID, like in COVID, all we wanted to do was get outside. It's perspective is often a really big influence, isn't it? Kind of like, well, when you're not allowed to go outside, all of a sudden that's all you want to do. We had an hour outside a day, didn't we, back then, especially those of us in Melbourne. And when you talk about spending time outside versus spending time inside, like every day I do a journal for my Whoop strap. I wear a Whoop strap, which is an activity tracker. And it asked me to make a note of how much time I've been outside all day. And some days I haven't been outside. I've been from the house to the car and from the car to school pickup. So I've gone to CrossFit. I'm indoors training. Sometimes there is an outdoor space I'll try to spend time in if I can, if it's not too sunny and hot. And then I'm at my desk or I'm in the car or I'm at an event speaking, and then I'm picking up the kids or I'm driving to play basketball, which is indoors. And some days when I fill out my journal, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have not been outside and spent any significant time outside all day. And so what you've just talked about is the fact that has significant impacts on us, no matter who we are and what we're doing. It's a huge problem.
Yeah, it is a huge problem. It is a huge problem. And this is why, like, there are doctors that now prescribe going out into nature.
I believe it.
It's going out into nature and trying to connect with our environment again. Like, it's a way to do things like reduce anxiety. It's a way to reestablish our emotions and sort of regulate ourselves. We are meant to be outside more than we are. And it doesn't have to be active. This is the thing. It doesn't have to be active. So I talk to people and they're like, oh, I don't want to go for a run. I'm like, why would you have to go for a run to be in nature? Just go sit somewhere, sit under a tree. It doesn't have to be like you're doing an active thing, and it doesn't have to be your, kind of groups of people. You could be by yourself or, maybe it was a friend, but it's actually just about being there in a space that you like to be in.
And they're the sorts of spaces that you design. And I know that one of the things that you are interested in is play. And I've actually had a few conversations on the podcast recently about play, and it's something that just lights me up. I talked to Dara Simkin recently, and she's all about play in the workplace and just how powerful it is for our mental health and our well-being and our creativity and our enjoyment and our connections. And what is it about nature play that's different to other kinds of play? Because as I said when I was chatting to Dara, when you immediately think of play, you can often think of like kids games, board games, Lego, those sorts of things. But there's such a broad, so many broad options when it comes to play. Can you tell us a bit more about nature play, and is it just for kids?
Oh, look, nature play is not just for kids. And I'm very much an advocate that we all need to play more.
Yeah.
Um, Teenagers, particularly, adults, probably even more. Look, nature play, the key things, I suppose, about nature play is that it's it's really unstructured. It's outdoors, doesn't matter where, it's just outdoors. And the important thing is you're actually interacting with the natural elements. Like that's the crux of it. That is nature play.
So is that climbing trees? Is that just, can you give us some examples?
So climbing trees is a really good one. It could be playing in a creek. It could be playing with leaves in your backyard. It
Oh,
could be building. What a lot of people see is when kids, or I'm going to say adults too,
yeah.
build stick kind of huts. You often, like if you have a look around, you'll see them around a lot.
Yeah.
That's one way of doing it. It could be about interacting with logs. It could be sort of playing with mud and dirt, getting quite sort of sensory. It's literally just about interacting with nature in an unstructured way. And I think that's the key. A lot of the play that we look at and we think about is quite a structured environment.
Yes.
It's we go to a playground and we play. But that's one type of play. There are many, many different types of play. And when you look at play theory, some people like there's theories on people have said there's three types of play. People have said there's 300 types of play.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a multitude of ways we do this.
Mm.
And play equipment is one type of way we do that, but it's not all the ways that we should be doing that.
No. So if I decide that I'm feeling a bit stressed and I need a bit of a stress relief and I just go down to the local beach and just have a splash around in the water and just a muck around and just, throw the ball or muck around with the kids and do a few handstands and stuff, that's play, isn't it? Like I've
That's
never
totally
thought of
play.
it like that.
Absolutely. That is play. That is play. And one of the types of play that is often forgotten in all of our design is what I kind of like to call a restful play or a quiet play. And that's not, that's really about coming back into yourself and just having a moment to kind of go, oh, this is what I want to do. It's often it's really great in kids for use for self-regulation.
Yes.
And it's that ability to just step back and it could be like just walking along the beach with your feet in the water, just quietly, just being, I suppose is
Mm.
probably the best way to describe it. It could be, I see this a lot in kids, particularly in schools that we work with. It's often a seat that's sort of a little bit out of the way. It's most of the time it's in the shade, and they might just be sitting there.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, oh, well, they're not playing, they're not doing anything. But if you actually go and talk to them and say, oh, how are you, what are you doing? They can be creating a whole story in their head about what's going on the playground, what's happening for the day. And their play is actually creatively going on within their mind. And they're
Mm.
completely engaged in that.
Yes.
But it's quite a quiet activity. It's not the running and jumping and sliding down slides that you would see typically in a normal, like well, I say normal playground, but in a playground, I
Yes.
suppose. And
And
that's important for all of us, I think. We do not get enough of that anymore in our lives. We don't get enough of that time to just sit and interact in however we want to.
we don't. We're always doing, aren't we, Deb? It's always one thing to the next. And that, at home we've just got a fish pond recently, and
Mm.
and then Peter put in a little fountain, and so we've got this beautiful sound of just running water. Just a little fountain and a few fish, mind you. I saw a kookaburra sitting on the fence the other day.
Might
And
not
I was
have
like,
fish there.
this is not lunch. This is not. These fish are not meant to be lunch. But what I've just found myself just thinking, if I have a coffee in the morning, because I'm aware of the deficit of time outside for myself, and I'm very much aware of how important it is and just how good you feel. Like it's self-fulfilling, isn't it? You go out, you feel good, you want to do more of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll take my cup, and I've got a chair out there and I'll just sit and have my cuppa, and inevitably the dog comes up with a ball and asks me to throw it, and that's play for him. But just that quiet time in that space. And I don't know, Deb, what is it? what could you say to listeners who sort of are like, yeah, that's all very well and good. I know it would be good for me, but there's too much to do. Could you maybe talk about some of the challenges with the nature play, the deficit of not spending enough time outside in the hopes that maybe we can all be a little bit inspired to spend a bit more time taking care of ourselves?
Look, I'd always encourage everybody to get outside as much as they can. And I do understand that in this world it is very busy and we do get overwhelmed sometimes. But I think in terms of the importance of it, so I'll probably use me as a great example of this. I run my own business, have a family. Sometimes life gets incredibly busy and there's always something to do.
Yeah.
And when I'm feeling like that myself and I'm getting to a point of feeling either anxious or worried or frustrated and all the things that can and stressed, actually stopping and grabbing my dog and going up to the bush, which is near us, and just going for a walk and jumping across the creek and seeing, the wallabies jump down and who's out there and whatever else is out there, whatever the birds are out there that day.
Yeah.
That, 15, 30-minute, however long it is, makes me myself feel a million times better coming back into my world, and I can cope then a lot better.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that nature does for you is it gives you breathing space to be able to then cope a lot better and hit that to-do list that you need to do with a lot more force and a lot better outcome. I really encourage this in our office. If people are kind of getting to the point where you're getting stressed, they say, okay, you need to stop, you need to breathe, and you need to go outside for 5 minutes.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you can come back and you can rethink then. You're better. The work you produce after that is going to be better than if you just sat there for that 5 minutes. It doesn't always have to be long periods of time. I think it's just those pauses. We're in this constant cycle of what's next. And those pauses are really important to allow our brain to kind of reset what's the next thing.
Yes. I used to go outside. We've got an oak tree in our front yard and it's magnificent. We got married under it actually many moons ago. Yeah, it's really special. So that's actually very meaningful. And I remember when our son, 17 years ago, when we had our son and he was, I was a new mum and I was trying to cope with all the things you cope with as a new mum. And I remember if there was tears and I couldn't settle him, I remember one of the nurses I rang said, just go outside and touch a tree. Just go outside and so put your baby down so that they're safe, so that, no harm can come to them. They're safe in their crib. Crying isn't going to kill them. But having a mum that's really wound up and really anxious and stressed is also not going to help them to settle. So just go outside, and it just so happened that I had a really beautiful tree. I could go out and literally just going up and just putting my hand on the tree, and I wasn't not talking tree whispering or anything weird, but just coming out and just doing what she suggested, come out and just touch the tree, get close enough to it and just take a few breaths under the tree, outside, some fresh air where I couldn't hear what was happening in the house. I just had a little moment's peace from it all. And what you said before, it's a reset. It's like a shot in the arm, really, isn't it? And the way I think about it, Deb, is that we have this very, very precious life, and it's not about how much we can achieve and do and produce each day. Like, our life is lived in the everyday. There's not some magical milestone which means we're living our life. Like, every single day, this is the life we've got. And if we don't stop to take those pauses and enjoy moments regularly, then it's just going to pass us by in a flurry of getting things ticked off our list, but not really feeling good and enjoying and being present for the good moments. And I love that we can talk about this today, and hopefully, maybe the first thing you might do as a listener is do a little bit of an audit, like I've been forced to with my little daily Woot journal, is like when you start to realise how little you are outside, that's the first step is awareness. And then you're like, well, I know something I can do here, and we can start to sort of bring a little bit more into the day.
And look, I encourage those, for those of you who are listeners who have families, get the whole family outside.
Yeah.
Because that connection that, you kind of get is just as important for your kids.
Yes.
There are a lot of, I know there are some GPs and nurses kind of going back to this prescribing nature. There's a GP I know who works with mums and babies, and that's what they prescribe: going out in nature and taking your children out and like seeing the world.
Mm.
It's really healthy. It helps like you as a whole being, in a multitude of different ways.
Oh, look, I couldn't emphasize enough, especially for your mental health, just the difference that it can make. And especially if you take your child to a place where they can play freely in an unstructured way. And I know that you design, I mean, you design these places, you design these spaces. And like, what are you thinking about when you're creating a space that invites children in? What are the sorts of elements that you are thinking about that really kind of, help them to play in a whole variety of different ways?
Yeah. Look, for me, it's all about choice. It's creating choice for the child or teen or adult or whoever we're doing
Yes.
the design for. Because the thing with traditional playgrounds, they're mainly focused on sort of a small type of variety of types of play.
Yeah.
So sort of as I was talking about earlier, there's a whole heap of different types of play. Active play and play that interacts with our gross motor skills, which is the jumping and the swinging and that type of thing. That's one type of play. But there are many others. So there are types of play like creative play, which is about, it's about getting kids to create something how they want to. There's imaginative play, which is different. There is play where kids are playing alongside each other. And you'll see this particularly in like toddlers and things where they'll be playing separate games, but they're playing alongside each other. That's a type of play. So most playgrounds are sort of set up for that. The kids who like the gross motor skills, they're happy to get out there, happy to get physical. What we try and do, which is a bit different, is we try and provide a choice.
Yeah.
So my daughter is not really she's not the sporty one. She will be outside and interacting with nature and doing things and creating and playing all day long. But if you take her to somewhere where there's a playground, she might last like 15, 20 minutes and then that was it.
Yeah.
But if you take her to somewhere where she can do those things that she likes to do and play in the way she likes to play, we'll be there for hours.
Yes.
So by allowing choice for your child, it's a lot more inclusive. It allows the child to be able to choose what they want to do that day. They might want to get muddy, and I know a lot of parents don't like that.
Do you know what? We had a sandpit at my house, and my mum was so anxious, like cleanliness and tidiness and no mess was really how it really helped her to cope a lot better. And
Yes.
so when we got the sandpit at home, my mum was like, "You're a saint, Jodi. I can't believe you're doing this," because, the sand gets everywhere. But muddiness, getting dirty and just being able to play freely and not worry about that.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
kids
so
love it,
important.
don't they?
They love it, and it's so important. And a lot of the time when you're playing like that, and people say like it's just toddlers, it's not. I've done playgrounds for, upper primary school. So we're talking like 11, 12, even teens. They like doing this. Like they like
Yes.
getting out and digging and interacting and changing things.
Yeah.
Dirt and mud is actually like such a sensory experience. Kids who have sensory issues or kids who are on the spectrum, those kind of things, not always, but they can really help those kids.
Yeah.
And if you don't have situations where that is possible, they can't make the choice whether they want to do it or not.
Well, this is the thing. Like, my kids are 16 and 17 now. And when I thought about I'll take them out to play, I would go to a playground and I would expect, not that I was cracking the whip, don't get me wrong, but I would expect that when we go to the playground, they're going to be climbing the ladder, going down the slides, on the swings and all of that kind of thing, because I didn't have the broader perspective about what play looks like. And if it's not the right fit, it's like for us, if you're not a sporty person and somebody says, let's play pickleball, you're going to say no.
Yeah.
But if they said, look, do you want to go and sit by the river and have a chat and take a picnic? Well, I would never have thought that could be considered a type of play, but you're in the environment, you're connecting, and inevitably you take your shoes off and then all of a sudden you're walking on the grass, you've got your feet in the water.
You might throw some rocks in the river, you might have a look around, you might be like, oh, I wonder what's over there, and go rock hopping. It's all, it's all interacting with your environment.
One of the things I know that you're really passionate about is inclusivity and belonging and creating spaces. And I know that you said before that it's variety and it's choice that you want for young people. So can you give us an example of a space that you've designed and some of the things that you included so that they were giving kids choice and so that anybody who showed up to that play space could find something that they really enjoy doing?
Yes. Look, it's the short answer.
Yeah.
Look, there's probably a variety of different ways we've done it.
Yeah.
And it often depends on the context and the situation that the space is going in.
Yeah.
Because whenever we're designing spaces, it's all about context and the surrounding area and what's going on with this.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a couple of examples with a couple of schools we've worked with. So one of them, we designed this playground, and the playground was sort of aimed for students between sort of grade 3 to 6.
Yes.
And the thing about that play space is, again, we wanted to make sure they had choice. So they had ticked a lot of the boxes in terms of elements. There was a half basketball court for the people who wanted to do basketball or netball or handball or that type of thing. There were the more traditional play structure elements. So there was a climbing net, there was a swing, there was slides, there was, stones and rubber things they could jump on and climb over. But then we also had the other side. So we had a big sand pit, and we also had a mud pit, and then we had water, and then we had rocks and loose parts added into that. So what that allowed was, if that child didn't want to go and slide down on the slide or go on the swing, they can dig in the mud and sort of change and play with the loose parts. And so that's one. It's that choice of the different types of activities that they want to be doing. Interestingly, I think one of the most interesting projects that we've done that kind of indicates that choice is we worked with a school where we didn't actually come up with the playground design in the end. So we gave them design and a set of parameters that they wanted to do. They could do themselves.
Yeah.
And this was in a rural school in Queensland, and they had this area which was a beautiful area, sort of covered in bush, had a little creek that went through it. They had yabbies, and they were like, how do we turn this into a play space? And through a lot of discussion, it ended up that the students wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So I put some key things in place and said, these are kind of the parameters that you can work towards. And those kids ended up building bridges and cubbies and slides and creating a whole environment for themselves that they did themselves.
Oh, wow.
And it was all about choice and allowing them to choose what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
So you can do it in a variety of different ways, and we design in a variety of different ways depending on the situation.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's much more structured, but sometimes it's actually just allowing children to do the leading in where they want that space to go.
Which is a good lesson for us as parents too, is to let our kids kind of lead the way, because they know what they like. They'll gravitate towards it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think allowing your child to have that choice to do what they want to do within a space gives them so much confidence in them being able to go, actually, I can do this.
Yes.
You see this, and for those of you who go to sort of the more traditional playgrounds, which is probably the majority of people, you'll sometimes see, and I'll encourage all your listeners to kind of start looking out for this. You'll sometimes see off to the side, you might see a small pile of rocks, or you might see a pile of sticks, or some sticks leaning up against a tree, or a pile of leaves or something. That's a child playing in a completely different way to that play space.
Yes.
And your child might want to do that too.
Yeah.
So it's actually allowing them to go, and I know this creates some parents can sometimes get a bit worried about it, but allowing them to pick up the rocks and the sticks and the leaves and explore those other areas and the freedom to do that.
Yeah.
And make, because they'll make the mistakes and might drop a rock on their toe and they might do this and that, but it's a way of learning, because for kids to be able to change their environment, it's such an important lesson as to how we as adults can then function and change and be resilient.
Brings me to, and we've only got a few minutes left, but just a quick talk on risk taking, because it's so important. It's the way that we learn that when it comes to anxiety, like healthy risk taking is so important, because you kind of learn that you can have the feeling of, I want to climb the tree and I'm motivated to do it, but what if something happens? And then children can make decisions to sort of get to the first branch, or the rule for our kids was, if you can get in it, you can climb it.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can't get in it, well then, it was come from the kindergarten, because we had a lot of nature play, and it was like, if you can get in it, you can climb it. And as a parent, you can sort of be, they're climbing a tree, but that's how they learn what their limits are, and to overcome those feelings of hesitation, and to be able to make good decisions. And in my experience, kids make really good decisions when they've had the experience of appropriate risk-taking opportunities. But I see so many playgrounds these days and I think, they look so boring. They're low to the ground. And I don't know if you've seen that in your work, that a lot of the risk is reduced too much.
They are. And some of them are boring. I'm not going to lie. Some of them are very boring. And you'll see this with, if you take your child to a playground they're going to find boring, you will not be there very long.
Yeah.
And this is the thing about play. If you have a child who is engaged in play, and there's a whole play cycle, which could probably be a whole nother podcast, but we won't go into that. Yeah. But if they're engaged in the play, they will be doing that, and they will be fully engaged in that activity, whatever it is. The ones that are not engaged are the ones that are generally running around causing chaos and interrupting other play or other situations, or doing maybe something that they shouldn't be doing, or taking risks they shouldn't be taking because they're not engaged in what they're doing.
Yes. When we started talking about this, I was so excited to have this conversation on the podcast, because the really key points that we've talked about so much, but the key points is our outdoor environment is like a balm for our brain. It's so important for us to spend more time in it and find the environments. You'll know where you like to be and where you don't. And taking those moments and investing in ourselves to take those breaks as adults, because we are glued to our chairs and indoors so much, but also finding and creating opportunities for our kids to be able to engage with the environment around them. Play doesn't have to be going to a playground. I've learned so much from the conversation we had when I said, please come on the podcast. Is there anything I haven't asked you? We've only got a couple of minutes. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you'd like to share with listeners before we finish up?
I think just get outside. I encourage you to get outside more.
Yeah.
I just encourage you to try and have a look at your space. And the other thing is, if you don't like, say, for example, if you're at home and you don't like your outdoor space, there's things you can do to make it better that don't have to be, really expensive or make big changes. There are a lot of things you can do to make your outdoor space better and easier for you to use. I have a lot of clients who are like, I don't like where I am. I don't like my space. Can you help me change that? I'm like, absolutely.
Yes.
But I think it's just making the space so you are happy in it.
Yeah.
Whatever that is I think is really important. I'd encourage everybody to do it. And allow your kids to have the freedom to choose how they want to play outside.
Yes. Yeah. Such good advice. If people want to learn more about you and your work, where can they find you, Deb?
Our website, otara.com.au is probably one way. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we're on LinkedIn.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Debbie. Debbie, thank you for sharing just a little whisker of your expertise with me today. I really am grateful, and I just really hope that this inspires every listener to start thinking, right, yes, when I've got the option, when I've got a moment, like how can I spend it? Let's just get outside, spend a little bit more time, get a little bit more sunshine. Vitamin D is another good reason, but we're out of time. So thank you so much for joining me today, Deb.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been really fun.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this time with me on Well, Hello Anxiety. Remember, understanding anxiety is the first step to managing it. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Take things one moment at a time. Focus on what you can control and know that you are not alone on this journey. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with someone who might need to hear it too. I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and I'll meet you right back here next week. Hi there, Dr. Jodi here. If stress and anxiety are taking a toll on your staff or community, or your people are looking for science-backed, practical ways to support their wellbeing, this is exactly the work I do. I speak in schools, workplaces, and at conferences across Australia, helping people understand stress and anxiety, respond more effectively under pressure, and build sustainable wellbeing. My presentations and workshops are practical, evidence-based, and genuinely impactful. People don't just listen, they remember and use what they learn. To find out more, head to the contact page at drjodirichardson.com to arrange a time to learn more about how I can support your school or workplace.